Welcome to the Powerful Marketing Tips Podcast, created for overwhelmed business owners who want to build, run, and organize their marketing for good. And here's a brief overview of our guest. Today, you'll meet Greg Friel, a creative consultant. Greg has been working as a musician and marketing for more than 28 years. He was a singer, songwriter, record producer, and video director before moving into the world of content marketing, in particular podcast and music production and brand concept video production. He enjoys being the creative force behind projects and always finds creative solutions to business problems. In this interview, Greg talks about the importance of authenticity, something that's relevant for every business owner. So enjoy the interview.
Having a creative mindset toward your business may really make this difference between success and failure, even, I would say, in these volatile times we are having right now. But creativity isn't something that really comes naturally to everyone. And the way I see it, it's also something that isn't necessarily encouraged in our society even and career. So today I'm so happy to talk about creativity with the amazing Greg Friel. Welcome, Greg.
Thank you very much, Marlies. It's lovely to be here.
So I know you have been working as a musician and marketer for over 28 years,
Making
right?
me feel really old, yes. Mm-hmm.
No, you started as you were born, I know. Uh-huh. Could you briefly walk us through your journey, please? Because it's amazing.
Yes. So 28 years being self-employed, which, give me a round of applause for that alone. But I started off in the music industry as a singer and a songwriter, and worked as a songwriter and a record producer really for a good few years. And that took me all over the world, doing all kinds of different projects in Nashville and New York and LA and Amsterdam and Germany, and doing all kinds of different bits of music. But I've also been a director of videos, and I always helped the artists I was working with. I was helping them with their social media side of things. And many, many moons ago, I did actually do a business degree with marketing and all that sort of things. And my father was always like, "You're going to be a marketing guy." And I was like, "No, I'm going to be a rock star." And now I still do the music side of things, but I do a lot of marketing. So it's all creativity, and that's what it comes down to. And I love being creative every day.
So pretty much all your life you have been creative.
Yes, to the point of just being really, really annoying to everybody all the time.
But can I ask, is it sometimes hard to be creative still because it's been a long time, or is it like a normal thing for you today? I think
it's a normal thing for me, but it's like everything else. It's like going to the gym. It's like it's a muscle that you can work on and you develop, and the more that you do it, the better that you get. I would think. Certainly for me, whenever I am busy being creative on creative projects, it makes me excited about being more creative and doing other creative projects. So, there's other aspects of the work that I do that's less creative. But, I find that whenever I'm doing creative work, it just kind of keeps, fueling more creative work. But I always say, especially, to your point at the start about creativity, that creativity really is the currency. Everything else in business has been commoditized. You can go on and get people to do all kinds of different things for you. And you're like, yeah. But creativity and individuals' creativity is something that, that's why people work with me, because I have my very specific kind of way of working, and I really kind of push, this is what I do. If you want to work with somebody else and do something a bit more safe or whatever, then that's fine. But I have my own kind of particular way of working, and that's my style of creativity, and that's what makes the difference in the end.
The way I see every business owner is creative, because as you come up with an idea already, you are being creative, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, but during the process, they kind of, how you say it, they lose their way, or they think that, okay, I'm not creative anymore. Can Can you tell why is this happening?
I think, certainly for me, I can only really speak about my experience, that at times whenever I feel stressed, and if I'm worried about aspects of business or work or whatever, stress is always just the enemy of creativity. So it's really about doing the things that are going to encourage creativity and reduce stress. So getting loads of exercise, getting outside, maybe reading a book, a distraction away from the things that are causing that stress, and focusing on the things that you can change and the things that you can fix. It's dead easy, especially as a business owner, to feel overwhelmed by everything, and you're just thinking of everything. But it's about doing little micro things along the way that just help to kind of relieve that stress. And those little micro things can lead to bigger things. And it's little changes that you make creatively that can lead to other things. But I find, certainly for me, reducing stress is the key factor to encouraging creativity.
Mm-hmm. Can you share some of your secrets? What are the most powerful ways how to find your creativity again?
I read a really, really great book by Jen Sincero. You may have heard of it, called How to Be a Badass. And it's a great book on getting back to your source energy. That's what she talks about. And the idea that, what is it that fuels you? What is it that really gets you up in the morning? And the thing that makes your soul sing. And so for me, it's music and being creative in other ways. But whenever I'm close to that source energy and really being creative and on fire with that, then, and whether that's me or whether that's anybody else, whenever it's that thing that really you get excited about, you radiate an energy from you. I know that sounds a bit woo-woo, but you do glow. You have that confidence because you're connected to the thing that really makes you happy. And I know that whenever I'm doing work that I feel really connected to, then that really makes a difference for me. And from that, I then get other work because people see that I've just got this energy and a light about me, and it's infectious. People are drawn to that. Whereas whenever you're kind of closed off, and if you're not connected to that or doing work that isn't fulfilling and giving you that energy, you're not going to be drawing people to you, because people are just kind of like, you seem a bit lacking in energy. It's a bit negative. And the thing, don't get me wrong, I mean, I can be the most annoying man in the world, as you know, because I'm quite...
No, I don't know, Greg.
Because I'm quite full on with my energy, and a lot of the content that I share. And I think, it's always about being authentically yourself. And you have to be true to who you are. And whenever you are really aligned with, this is who I am and this is what I want to do, and you're doing that work, then that tends to be when you're in your happy place and doing your best work.
And you mentioned the word authenticity.
Yeah.
Let's talk about this, because this might be even the hardest piece here, I can be creative, but it is so hard to be authentic sometimes. Why?
I think it comes down to, you really just got to simplify it. The secret to everything is just to simplify everything. And for me, authenticity is quite simply when what you say matches what you do, then you're being authentically yourself. So for me, if I say I want to work on projects that are, very creative and work with different business owners who are really trying to push the boundaries and, and aren't wanting to do the norm, and then I then go and do that kind of work, then I'm being authentically true to myself. And I put out content where I am very high energy, I have a sense of humor, and, all of that comes across in the content that I put out, because that's who I am. That's my brand. You want to talk it in those terms. And that's really what everybody needs to do. As business owners, you really need to identify what is it that makes me who I am, and what is it that really resonates with me? What are the brand values for me as a person? And what are those things that are going to be authentically me whenever I then take that to the world? And you find that, I was doing a strategy session with a a client last week, and we were going through precisely this, talking about brand values, and we got to this one particular word, and I was like, let's just come up with some words that you would say that really resonate with you. And one of the words was daring. And she then proceeded to tell this story about a time when she did something daring. She jumped out of a plane with a parachute, and and wouldn't be me. But what happened was, we went from having this conversation where she's being very businesslike and she's just talking about what she's doing, to then getting so excited and animated talking about this particular thing, because it was so in tune with who she is and her values. And this particular example was, this is her being daring. And I stopped her for a minute and went, this is a breakthrough here. This is who you are. This is the kind of content that you should be putting out. So whenever you really can clearly identify those particular issues, those particular things that are of importance to you, those values, then you then need to throw yourself into creating content that is going to reflect that. So from that session, we then decided, okay, you should do content that, you're telling stories about various times in your life where you did something daring. There's no call to action at the end. You're doing a brand story that's really about your values. And that's a long-term thing as well. This is who I am. This is what I'm about. And people are going to connect with you on that level. If that's who they are as well. So it's that level of authenticity. You can't fake being, unless you're a really good actor, that you are really, really excited about something. If you're not, there's that sparkle in your eyes, that animated way we all behave whenever we're excited about something that, a story that we're telling. And that's really true authenticity. When you get to that, this is who I am. I'm excited to tell this story. And that's how people really see the real you and connect with you.
I see your point, and I love it, because you can feel, when there is a passion and authenticity, right? But oftentimes, as an overwhelmed business owner, again, it is so hard to see yourself, If you ask somebody, what is your one word? I'm sure most of us don't know that. So how can we help ourselves here to become more authentic and to align this creativity and authenticity?
Well, I think certainly one of the things that I've really worked on over the past few years has been the fact that I have some colleagues, some business friends who I've got to know over the past couple of years, and we're accountable to one another. We will message each other and say, you know what, I'm having a really rubbish week. Like, my head's a mess and I can't really think straight and I don't know where I'm going. And we're good friends, and we connect on a regular basis, and at least once a week. And it can just be, for half an hour, sometimes 50 minutes, other times an hour and a half, 2 hours, and just talking through those things and kind of working it through. And it's stuff that you probably know already yourself, and you know the answers, and you can but just working through that with somebody who is a fellow business owner and doing the same kind of thing is enormously useful. And for me, that's a relatively new concept. My entire working life has changed dramatically over the past 5 to 6 years. Up until then, I was, really in a recording studio, and I'd go work in a recording studio by myself or with the artists that I was working with. But I didn't have the same social connections that I have now through the business work that I do, where I'm regularly meeting fellow business owners, and we're able to talk and have these kind of conversations, and being able to reach out to people who are in a similar position to you. And that's back and forth. I mean, one time it'll be me saying, really need to have a chat about this. And then other times they'll be saying, Greg, I need to talk to you about such and such. I'm like, sure.
It's a two-way street.
It's a two-way street. And I think the greatest thing you can learn as a business owner, especially when things are overwhelming, is you can't do it all by yourself. And if you look at successful businesses over the years, there's very, very few stories of self-made men or women achieving everything totally by themselves. There was always somebody along the way that offered a helping hand, was supportive, somebody who said, you know what, I really believe in what you do, and I'd like to help you in some kind of way. And I think we all really, really need that in our business journey. I'm going to use the word journey. And certainly for me, that's become a recent addition to my working life, really, because, 28 years being self-employed, but for so long, I was like, I do this by myself. This is me. And then when you kind of go, you know what, I'm actually not that good at that. Do I know somebody who's better at that than me? Oh, right. Okay. So now the things that I'm not good at or less good at, then I bring in somebody who's really good at those things. And that takes away a lot of the stress, because I think an awful lot of the overwhelm comes with thinking I have to do all this by myself. And sometimes budgetary wise, yes, you're thinking, well, we don't have the money to do this, but sometimes it can just be a conversation, and just partnering up. That's why I think business networking is just fantastic, because you get to meet like-minded people, and I'm a great advocate of networking from the point of view of, obviously it's good for business, yes, but just meeting people who are on the same kind of path as you and being able to help one another with conversations and talking about what we're all going through. Because at the end of the day, it's going to be very, very similar. We're going to be dealing with a lot of the same issues.
I agree with you, because what I have experienced myself is that oftentimes we don't even need advice from somebody, but sometimes, the creativity wakes up while I am talking out loud, right?
Exactly. Yeah, and I think it's the overthinking. Whenever, in silence, whenever we're not being active doing something, we spend too much time in our head at planning and over-planning and overthinking, and everything becomes bigger than it actually is. Whereas whenever we actually start to take action, even just small bits of action along the way, then that stress starts to become less, and it's not quite so overwhelming and not quite so big. So for me, so much of the answers to everything in my business work is always simplify. Just what is the one thing that you can do just now? Okay, you can do that. Okay, that's going to help. And then it's the little things, not thinking, oh, I've got this, these 30 things that are happening over the next 3 weeks or 4 weeks or whatever. Or how are we going to make payroll? All of those kind of things that business owners are going to be thinking of. Literally, what's the one thing that you can do just now that's going to help? And focus on that, because those little things are the things that let the big things happen.
Yeah, we all should have this friend who asks, what is this one thing you can do right now, right?
Absolutely. And sometimes it's, it's the expression, you should eat the frog at the start of the day, and
love this book.
Yeah, and I find it really, really difficult to do that. I'm kind of like, I really don't want to do that, and I'm great for putting things off. I really don't want to do that. I don't enjoy it at all, so I'm not going to do it. Or it's, and then you're like, why am I putting? I know that if I do this, I'm going to remove so much stress from my life. So I would say that's another thing as well. We can read countless business books about how we should do things and strategies. But at the end of the day, unless we actually implement them and follow the actions that these books suggest, then we're not actually going to make any of these changes. Too many people buy books, they might not even read them, or they go to workshops or they go to seminars and they kind of think, oh, I've ticked that box. I went to that social media seminar, so that's me done my thing. And I'm like, have you? Really? But it's kind of, they're giving themselves that little reward because, oh, I went to that seminar. I'm like, yeah, but are you now doing the thing that you've just learned in that seminar? And I think we can be, without being too hard on ourselves, I think we should be more accountable in some areas and actually, take action more than anything.
Yeah, because we go through so much, all this information that is out there every day, and And yes, we go over this information or through the information, but we never take time to apply this, right? That's the thing also.
Absolutely. And we can be overwhelmed by that. I mean, that's the thing. I mean, there's just so much information out there. And that can be just massively overwhelming. So sometimes it works to just go, you know what? I'm going to stay off my phone today, and create times where you're going to go on social media, and be organized with that. And rather than be on all the time, just because somebody can contact you 24 hours a day doesn't mean they should, and doesn't mean that you should be available. And that can be incredibly stressful, especially over, a long period of time if you're always on. If it's possible for you to switch your phone off, I know sometimes there's situations where maybe you have, a sick family member or something like that. You need to be, available. But if there's a situation where, you can actually, when you go to bed, you switch off your phone, and you're getting enough rest. It's so much of the basics are so key to removing that stress and that overwhelm. Get enough sleep, eat regularly, and, take away all of these other pressures and distractions that are coming in at you all the time. Because at the end of the day, it's down to you. You can control so much of that. But I certainly, for me, whenever I start to feel like that, I'm like, okay, let's just get the basics right. And I might just cancel everything that's happening and just go, I need to sleep. I need to make sure I'm eating properly, and all of that. And it always comes down to the basics. And if it's other stuff, above that, then fair enough. But it's look at the basics first. And then you're kind of going, okay, that's okay. I know I'm getting enough sleep. I know I'm eating regularly. Now let's look at this other stuff. Because if you can't get that stuff right, you're not going to be able to do the other stuff.
I agree. So let's come back to creativity. I know you have said that you help companies solve their problems through creativity. Could you please explain that a little bit?
I think what it comes down to is an awful lot of businesses, they know who they are and what they're about, but they tend to talk about their products and services, and that's really, really dull. And, in terms of sharing statistics or, numbers and all that kind of stuff, that it's not a very human way to interact. And for me, what I like to do is I think of it in terms of I'm going to humanize what it is that you do. So I will take what they're doing in the business world. I'm going, okay, how can I make that more human? How can I find the emotional component in that that's going to resonate with their potential customer? So for me, I'm going to reverse engineer what their customer is actually looking for, and then encourage them to either create the content themselves or get me to create the content that resonates with the values that that company espouses. But so it's got to resonate with the company and their values and all the stuff that we would normally talk about. But it's through storytelling that we really connect with people. And I am a huge, huge believer in brand storytelling and making everything just a more human interaction. So rather than saying, we'll save 25% for you, or, this is only $19.95, it's great, and that's very, very salesy. And I suppose this kind of dials into a thing where you hear an awful lot of people these days as well talking about, oh, I'm a digital marketer, or there's digital marketing agencies. I'm like, really? It's kind of more sales, and it's all sales funnels and that kind of stuff. And all of that's, needed. But, there's a disconnect there between what's marketing and what's sales. And obviously everybody should be talking to one another. But I'm a great believer in actually valuing the creative at the top of the funnel. And I'm that guy that comes in and let's look at the overall thing. And you've got the architecture here to be able to push that out and make people see that through your social channels or email or whatever, excuse me. But at the end of the day, it doesn't matter if you have all of like a massive email list and everything there, if the creative on top of that is appalling, it's not actually going to make a difference. So it's, how can you do something creatively that's going to resonate with the end user, but stand out and be different? And that brings us back to the authenticity thing, because when it's authentic to the brand and the brand value, people see that, people can feel that. And you know it yourself whenever, there's brands that kind of make a misstep, like Pepsi with the Kylie Jenner commercial a couple of years ago. It was kind of like trying too hard to tick a few boxes and appear to be, trying to keep everybody happy. If it feels like you're pushing an agenda that doesn't sit naturally within the context of the brand, we obviously then refer to that being as off-brand. And that, and big brands get it wrong. It's not just smaller companies. So I think that's a huge thing, what is it that's authentically going to connect with people?
So you mentioned a lot about this authenticity. So if you were to wrap it up, the importance of this, can you share it? Because we understand we should be authentic, but still, is it so important, or can we hide, behind the nice websites and everything, the sales stuff?
Well, you could do that, but at the end of the day, people buy from people that they know, like, and trust. And like, and trust people who you feel you can trust. As you get to know them, you're kind of like, yeah, this seems really, really important to this person. And whenever you get that they're honest about, their motives and how they're approaching things, then, you might like them more. So at the end of the day, if it feels like it's just a sales tactic or some way to just try to get you on board, and you're kind of like, yeah, I feel manipulated here. Whereas if you really feel that there's a strong connection with, the person who's selling this to you, the brand, that there's an honesty to it, and that it's coming from a place of purpose, then that's really going to resonate with people, and you're going to get them on board.
But please help us out here how to do this. What are the steps I should take now?
So the steps, think of it in terms of be yourself in what you say and what you do. Those have to match. Don't say that 100% we're going to deliver this on Thursday, and that you can't deliver it on Thursday. It's going to be a week on Tuesday. Things like that. If you promise something, then deliver. These are things that matter to people, and they're going to affect future buying decisions. So simple things like that matter a great deal. Whenever you say you're going to do something, do it. Whenever you say something is important to you, so say, for example, you were saying you were really big on sustainability, and you were, we like to reduce our carbon footprint, and then you send out products in plastic packaging that's, things like that. They can like, that doesn't feel right. So it's looking at the customer journey from beginning to end and going, from beginning to end, from when I first came across these people to when I first then purchased something, then to actually, the actual receiving of the product or the service, it felt the same. It felt like this was the same company to me. And if there's something that doesn't, that feel out of alignment along that way, along that journey, then that's inauthentic. It doesn't align with those brand values. So make that really, really important. And another thing, more than anything, because of what I do, it's always about creating content that resonates with your values, because that's how you're going to find your customers. They're going to go, oh yeah, that's the way I feel. And, we align ourselves with the brands that make us feel a certain way. So create that content that really, really connects with those values. And remember, this is the old Seth Godin quote that everybody is not your customer.
Love it.
You've got to really just think that, who is my customer? And when you say to somebody, who's your ideal customer? Everybody's our customer. No, they're not. And it's really, really pinning that down. And, in terms of the demographic and interests and, who are your potential clients or audience. So all of those things are really, really key. But I think more than anything is from the beginning of that customer journey to the end, it needs to feel like the same thing. It's like that. It's a strange instinctive thing. People can just say, it doesn't feel right. If it doesn't feel right, then that's where the authenticity thing is not right.
That's a good point, because oftentimes it is like, I'm not sure why I don't feel this way, but it doesn't feel like, that's it. You can't explain it, right?
And, it goes back to the old adage as well that people buy from people. And you might, meet somebody and go, okay, they seem quite friendly and all that kind of thing. But I hate that guy. And you have no idea. Like, I just didn't like his eyebrows. Whatever. There can just be strange kind of things. What is it that doesn't really feel right here? And honesty and integrity and just all of these things are just a hugely important thing. And at the end of the day, we want all of our business interactions and our personal interactions to feel, authentic and true, and that we do like and trust the people that we spend time with.
Actually, those are the basis for every relationship, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So I love those steps. So first, be yourself in everything you say and do. Second, create content that resonates with your values. And third, everybody is not your customer.
Absolutely.
Oh my God, they are so amazing.
Thank you.
So tell us where you want people to go if they are now listening and wondering if they can learn more about what you do and maybe even connect with you.
Well, I'm very, very active on LinkedIn. And as a business owner, if you're not very active on LinkedIn, what are you doing? Because it's just the best place to get, organic reach just now more than anything.
This is how we met.
Exactly, absolutely. And that's the thing. If you're there and active on the platform, then you will connect with the right people. So reach out to me on LinkedIn. I am there. And my website, Freelance Media. Everything with me is a horrible pun based on my surname. So I'm Freelance, so FRIELANCE media.co.uk. And you'll see me dressed the way I'm normally dressed, which is with a, leather jacket and shades and looking ridiculous, because ridiculous is generally the way I approach most things. So yeah, feel free to connect with me through there. Facebook as well, and Instagram, everywhere. I'm really everywhere, but, Freelance Music and Freelance Media are the handles that you need to get in contact with me.
Perfect. We will put those next to this video here for sure as well. But tell me one more thing. You mentioned you have a tiny special offer for our listeners. Yes.
So for listeners of the podcast, I'm offering a free 15-minute consultation. So if you want to have a Zoom chat with me about your business, and I'll do a quick analysis for you. I might just give you some hair care tips. It's a big thing for me. Or some fashion advice. You never know. But it's a free 15 minutes. The least you're going to have is a good time. It'll be good fun.
It will be, I promise. So should we put this, is there a secret word they can use so you would know that they can book this time with you? Let's agree this. Powerful marketers, maybe?
There you go. Powerful marketers. Boom, done.
It is.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Greg. But before we go, please share and comment on the beforehand shared song and quote that always inspires you to take action.
Okay, this is where I'm incredibly vain, and which I'm going to apologize for in advance. Because I'm a singer-songwriter in the first place, I will any excuse that I can use to promote my own songs. I'm just going to do it. And the thing is, for me, so much of my music I use to give me that kick up the backside. We're talking about earlier on about needing motivation and feeling stuck. And there was a time of maybe about 5 or 6 years ago, when I was feeling enormously frustrated and things were not going the way that, I wanted them to go. And I remember sitting with my wife and saying, I really wish I felt as fearless as I felt when I was, in my 20s. My wife's known me for a long time, 25 years we've been together. And she said, fearless, when have you not been fearless? And I'm like, really? She hasn't noticed this whole time, like the past couple of years I've been a complete wreck. So then it made me think that, well, at the end of the day, it's what you're putting out there. If people just will believe it if you're kind of selling it in a certain way. So I wrote this song Fearless, really talking to myself. It was like me looking in the mirror to give myself a kick up the backside and just get out there and do it. And so much of the songs that I write are me talking to myself, and like I'll share motivational videos as well that I've created, and quite often I'm creating those because that's what I needed to hear that day, and I know how important it is for other business owners to see that and to hear those words. So that's why I kind of create that kind of content. But this song is Fearless, so if you don't like it, it's completely my fault. No.
It's amazing. Thank you for sharing. It will go to our list. But please, what's the quote?
The quote is actually from my father. My dad is a great marketer and really my business mentor. And he's won every marketing award there is to win in the UK and Europe. And he's retired now, but he's still full of amazing advice. But something he said to me years ago really resonated with me, and I really, really stick by it. And he said, you'll never learn anything if you're right all the time. So I think as a business owner, we can be really, really hard on ourselves. Like, oh God, I got that wrong. I screwed that up. Yes. And accept that, move on. You're just going to make mistake, and then you get it right. And that's the only way you're actually going to end up winning in the end, is to actually, you need to lose. You need to keep losing, but keep going. And that's how you learn.
That's amazing. I would even say it's not losing, it's learning.
Absolutely.
You never lose, you always learn.
Exactly.
Right?
Absolutely.
Wow, I love it, Greg. Thank you so much for your time here.
Thank you.
I really admire what you are doing. So
thank you very much.
I wish you all the best. Take care. And it's been amazing talking to you. Thank you.
Thanks very much.
That's all we've got for this episode of the Powerful Marketing Tips podcast. Make sure to link up with us at our free monthly international mastermind event. Just go to powerful-marketers.com/mastermind for registration. And one thing that would really help us and other new potential listeners is if you would rate this show and leave a comment wherever you tune in to listen. Until next time, take care.